You have cancer. 3 words that change a life forever. We would like to offer another 3 words. Be an overcomer. Welcome to the 1% Podcast, where our conversations with other cancer warriors, survivors, and caregivers allows us to give you that extra boost you need to face your challenge head on, live life from a new perspective, and forge a path that keeps you moving free and clear. Now, welcome your host and cancer survivor, Truett Taylor.
Welcome to the 23rd episode of the 1% Podcast, the show where we interview young adults who are battling or surviving an unexpected cancer diagnosis. You are not alone. And I promise by consuming today's content, your soul will be fed with the hope, courage, and inspiration you need to keep fighting. If you haven't done so already, be sure to go to 1%podcast.com and sign up for our email list so you can receive the latest news and updates on all the guests of the show. Also, you can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at the 1% Podcast. And if you want to join the discussion, you can go to Facebook and join the 1% Podcast group. To contact me directly for content, questions, or booking events, you can email me at info@1%podcast.com. So today's episode is going to be a solo episode with just myself. Over the past several months, I've had an opportunity to interview 22 cancer warriors, survivors, or caregivers and share their amazing story with you guys. So I want to take a few minutes today to give you some updates on some of our previous guests, recap some of the data I've collected, talk about a few trips I've taken, conferences I've visited, hospitals that I've went to, and I also want to give you an update on the new format that we're going to be going to really soon. So let's start with some really cool news. Since I've interviewed these people, the following people have contacted me and let me know that their scans came through totally clean. That'd be Darren, Sarah, Tori, Paul, Riley, Marcy, Lindsay, Diana, Jesse, Rachel, Abigail, and Nicole have all recently contacted me and let me know that their 6th or 1-year scan came back perfectly clear. So I'm super excited to report that to everyone. We've got a couple people like Amy, Nick, and Whitney who are still ongoing treatment right now. So let's continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And finally, we had one of our previous guests, Lindsay Snipes, unfortunately got the news that her cancer has returned. So she's starting back up treatment. So you guys know we're all in this life together and we're all a part of this big thing. And I really want you guys to come around Lindsay. You can follow her on Instagram or Facebook at Lindsay Snipes or l.snipes.life and reach out to her, send her some encouragement, let her know that you're thinking about her, that you're praying for her, that she's not alone through this process, and really just rally around her as she continues to fight through this and give her the energy and loan her some strength, everything that you've got to help pump her up and keep her going through her struggle. And Lindsay, if you're listening to this right now, just know that we love you and we support you and we've always got your back in everything that you have to go through. All right, moving along to some of the data I've collected over the past few months. So far, we've had 22 guests. The 3 most listened to episodes we had were episode number 2 with Amy Ennis as she shares her story on colon cancer. Episode 6 with Paul Hester as he shared his story with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And episode 14 with Rachel Janis as she shared her breast cancer journey. Our top markets right now are Atlanta, Boston, Houston, LA, New York, and Denver. And our show has been listened to in over 24 countries across the entire world, which I think is so amazing. So thank you to everyone who shared the podcast, who's had a friend listen, who's joined in the conversation. The work of the show is just so in your hands, and I really appreciate everything that you're doing. And I want to continue to get this message out to reach all the young adults that are listening, to let them know that they have someone right along with them here in our community as they go through their cancer journey. Speaking of community, the past 3 months, I've traveled to Boston and to Houston. While I was in Boston, I participated in the Jimmy Fund Walk with Miss Amy Ennis and several of her friends. Had an opportunity to go inside Dana-Farber Hospital and just meet a lot of people there, and also just the race in itself. We had an opportunity to walk the last leg of the Boston Marathon in honor of all the cancer patients at the hospital. And one thing that really stood out to me about that event was we had thousands of people there gathered that had raised money for cancer research. And the really cool thing about the money we raised is Amy actually had an opportunity to tell them where she wanted the money to go. So we raised thousands and thousands of dollars for cancer research, which was awesome. But the thing that stood out to me the most about being there was right before the race started. Everyone was gathered there, and we were all ready, and they were about to kick off the race. And the leader of the race said they wanted everybody to kind of look up. And when we looked up across the bridge, a lot of the adolescent cancer patients were standing there in the window just looking, and they were all waving at us. And it really made me think long and hard about what we were doing and the money we were raising and just how special it was to be there. And it also made me think, too, that we're about to go out and run and walk this 5K, but there's kids in the hospital and there's people all over the world right now who are suffering, and all the money we raise is going towards the cancer research to help get people out of that hospital, find new treatments, find cures, invest in immunotherapy, all the different types of opportunities that we have by giving money. So if you guys want to be able to check this out online, definitely go to the Jimmy Fund Walk and look up the Dana-Farber Hospital as well too, and you'll get a chance to see some of the photos from the event, which is absolutely amazing. And about 2 weeks ago, I went to Houston to the Colorectal Cancer Alliance Conference. It was my opportunity to meet hundreds of colon cancer survivors, warriors, caregivers were there, and I just got introduced to a beautiful community of amazing people. And I had the opportunity to sit there for a few days and again, meet hundreds of people and listen to their stories, get a lot of research about nutrition and diet and upcoming things, and then why cancer is happening so much now in younger people. So a good chance to gather all that information and just build a lasting connection with several people there. So you guys know, as you listen to this, we all have something in common. And when you get around people who all have cancer, you just kind of get each other. So I encourage everyone listening to get involved in some sort of group, whether it's the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, whether it's something in your community, some sort of support group, some sort of group. Because if you were like me, I was kind of hesitant to do that when I was actually going through cancer. But we're a community. It only takes one person to really make a difference. And there's one person that will be there that you'll connect with that will make a lasting difference and help you through your progress and through the journey that you're going through as well too. While I was there, I actually got there a day early, and so I had a free day in Houston. So I decided to go over to MD Anderson Hospital, which is one of the largest hospitals in the world for cancer. And I didn't know a single person in there. I happened to have a few contacts from one of my past guests, Fabi Powell. You may remember her husband was the one that was diagnosed with sarcoma cancer and unfortunately passed away a few months after they were married. But I went to the sarcoma cancer floor, and I happened to meet some of the social workers and nurse practitioners that were on the floor that actually knew Fabi. And I had a chance to talk to them about the podcast and how it really helps people, just the whole power of storytelling and what it does to the brain. And it just gives you that intentional mindset to help fight through cancer and overcome the identity of just being sick, but just know that this is a part of the process in your life. And we had a great conversation. We talked for several hours. And we've got some pretty cool stuff in the works as far as being able to provide the podcast to a lot of the patients there. So I'm really excited about that. And I actually met a nurse practitioner while I was there as well, too. She's going to be a guest on the show pretty soon, but she was diagnosed with sarcoma when she was younger, and it inspired her to take the healthcare route as a professional. And she's there working at MD Anderson on the sarcoma floor right now. So pretty awesome trip. Tons of resources I was able to gather from that. So I'm really excited about all the awesome things that are going to happen in the future for us. So let's talk a little bit about the new format of the show. So looking back over the past interviews that I've done, I started noticing trends with a lot of phrases or words people were saying that were on the show. And I went back and re-listened to everything, and I jotted them all down. I've got a list of almost 500 words that people use to describe their cancer situation, something they were going through, or just a worry or concern, or even something really positive that helped them make it through this journey. So I wrote down all those words, and going forward, the way the format is going to look like is after I do an intro to the show, I'm going to cover a topic for maybe 5 to 6 minutes where we're going to go over a topic such as courage or identity or something along those lines and really dig into that to give you guys a little bit of a message before we go into the interview. So I'm excited to announce that the interviews with the guests are going to continue to keep getting better. I've got some awesome people lined up that you guys are going to just totally love, and it's going to really dramatically take an impact on your treatment and then just the way you intentionally think about your disease. So thank you again for tuning in today's show. I know it's a very quick show, but I wanted to get you guys caught up on everything. We'll be back on Thanksgiving Day, which is 2 days from now. I've got a great guest lined up, Miss Amy Perkins, in episode number 24. We're going to talk a little bit about courage. She's going to go into some details about a friend of hers who passed away from ovarian cancer. So you guys are really going to enjoy that and really be able to take a lot of pieces from that episode and really apply it to your life. So if you find a lot of value in the content that you're getting today, I want you to take a screenshot of the 1% podcast, tag us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever platform that you're on, and tag me in it and let me know what kind of feedback that you're getting and who the episode has helped and just what it's really doing for you in your life. I love to hear things like that. I love the way that we share all of our stories and we're all in this thing together. And I look forward to connecting with you guys on Thursday. So have a happy Thanksgiving and we'll talk to you then.
We appreciate you spending time with us on today's episode and encourage you to continue the conversation to help you keep pushing forward. For more resources based on today's episode, as well as ways to recommend a guest and connect to Truett personally, head over to 1%podcast.com. Be sure to join us next time for more stories of inspiration right here with Truett Taylor on the 1% Podcast.